we're going to first look at how we can implement. We have got the good introduction with CodeIgniter. Those who did practice, that is very great of you. Those who did not, you're risking, because you may end up missing everything. So that basic introduction is good to get us go. So what we're going to look at today, we're going to look at how we can connect the CodeIgniter with database so that we can be able to create a simple CRUD application which can create, read, update and delete from the database. Then once you're able to perform CRUD actions, we'll come now and finish other tiny things such as the routing, such as the file uploading, such as the cookies, sessions, URL configurations. Those will look at them later. But right now I'm going to begin by what? By looking at the file. Oh, light has gone. Okay, we're going to look at the what? At the database. Let me put on light here. Okay, light is back. So first of all, let us first look at what we looked at previously. Look at the controller. At the controller, for example, if I want to access anything in my view, I hope at this moment everyone understands what is meant by controller, what is meant by the controller, what is meant by the view, and what is meant by the model. So what if I'm going to open my project? Here it is. Okay, here it is. So if I want to access the main part, I can just simply go and say I can simply go to localhost and then put stroke GM news 10.4. Then I'll be able to do what? To see my basic controller. So this is my what? My basic controller. So if I want to switch to another controller, you know how we do that. So today we're going to begin with what? With database implementation of CodeIgniter. So to implement database with CodeIgniter, other members are joining. So to implement database with CodeIgniter, first of all, we connect with CodeIgniter, with the database itself, and after connecting with the database itself, then we'll be able to do what? To implement database in CodeIgniter. So I'll begin by creating the database itself. So to create a database, I'll simply go to my what? To my localhost. There it is, and go to phpMyAdmin, and that's my phpMyAdmin. So I'm going to create a simple database for news application. I hope I have a news database here. Let me see if I have a news database so that I should not waste time creating another one. I think let's make news app. News. No, I think I don't have the news app at the moment. Okay, so I'll click on new so that I should be able to do what? To create a database. So after clicking on new, I can simply do what? I can simply create the what? The database that I want. For example, the app I'm going to make is GM News 24, and then I say create. Then I'll be able to do what? To create a database. I believe everyone can create a what? Can create a database. So that's how we create a what? A database. So once you finish creating a database, so the next thing is to connect the CodeIgniter with database. The beauty about CodeIgniter is like you create the database only one time. I hope all members are around. Hosna, Musa, Fatimat and Hadia.
Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm recording. So I hope you're following. Don't just believe in recording. Anything can happen and you lose it all. Just be attentive. Live classes are better. And in case you fail to understand anything, you should ask. Have you heard Hadijat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have created the database, right? Now the thing is that now how do we connect with the database? The good thing about about CodeIgniter is like we given a what, a right way to do things. So connecting to the database, you just connect to the database only one time. Then CodeIgniter will take care of the rest. So I'll connect the database, but before we connect the database, just one thing. I want to remind you one thing. I told you that CodeIgniter will always come with what? With its documentation. You remember when I explained? I said that with CodeIgniter, it always ship itself with CodeIgniter with its documentation. So you see under our project we have user guide, okay? Under our project we have user guide. So meaning that if we come to under our project here, for example, and we add a link, that's our project, right? Then we have user underscore guide, okay? Then you'll be able to see what? The CodeIgniter documentation. Everything in CodeIgniter has been covered here. Everything. So in case you need the documentation, the explanation, you can just simply come here and you'll be able to see what? All the explanation of everything. So you don't need to ask even for notes. All the notes are here. In your free time, you can come and read along these notes of CodeIgniter. They explain everything step by step. Only that they just not organize their things in what? In order, because the documentation. But if you have a syllabus to follow, any topic, it is fully explained here. You want to learn about models, views, and with examples, you can find that the documentation within your project that you have. For example, I want to learn database. You can simply also have a search here. Okay, so if I search here, database. This is just on my own localhost, because so I said the database and press enter. I'll see the what? The search results for database. Even here on the what? On the catalog here, on the menu, you can as well search the database. You'll find there's what? There is a documentation for database. So if I click on database references, you see database reference, I click there, then I'll see all the details about the what? About the CodeIgniter database with quick example start. So you click here, then they will show you, explain you what is the CodeIgniter database, helper, a library. It's a library or it's a helper? We'll find out, okay? Library, how we load a database, how we implement it with examples step by step, and after one article you can click on another next to read the next article. In fact, it helped me a lot, this CodeIgniter, to do what? To learn the CodeIgniter itself. So you can use this syllabus as, you can use W3 schools or any other source as a syllabus, but to go into details of every topic, you can use this documentation to do what? To understand it all. Okay, so they explain everything step by step with examples and without skipping any step. Okay, so and this user guide just comes within your project. When you download CodeIgniter, it comes with your what? With your project. Just put user underscore guide, then you'll be able to get the CodeIgniter tutorial. Okay, here they have in a tutorial that shows step by step of how you can implement CodeIgniter things. I hope I understood, right? So leaving that aside, we are going to begin with the what? With what I was saying, CodeIgniter database. Connecting to the database. So after I manually create a database itself, and then what else? I'll have to do what? To connect to this database. So to connect to the database, we simply go to application, and then go to configuration here. Under application, there is a folder called configuration. So in this configuration folder, we'll configure a lot of things here. The URLs for the project, the routing, and the rest, all the settings for the CodeIgniter itself, they'll be under configuration. So I'm going to select database, you see. So database configuration will be found here. Okay, so here we can set the database. You can even see that the CodeIgniter will try to explain everything of how you can implement the database here within the comments. Okay, they'll explain how to implement database, everything within just the comments. So I can as well collapse these comments and delete them because they're nothing but comments. So I can delete them if I want, and if I don't want, I can just leave them the way they are. But let me just delete them to create just a free space. Okay, so you have this class of this class of database. I mean this configuration file of database. So how do we set the database? So we'll find this array that allows us to do what, to set our database. So it has DB, and under this DB we're having DNS, so we skip that. We just have host name, localhost, so you leave the localhost the way it is. So you put here the username that you're going to use the database. Of course, this is our local database, so we use the user called root, the default user called root. Okay, and then the password, you don't have password on the MySQL database, so I'll leave it the way it is. And then database that you are connecting to is called GM News 24, and we just created it. So I put there the database that you connect to. Then these are the four things that they need: the localhost, the database name, the username, the password, and the database name. These others are just optional. You can even leave them the way they are exactly. Then you remember to do what? You remember to save. Otherwise, if you don't save, then things do not work. So I save. After saving, I come and refresh. Everything is okay. So what if I try to change and see if there will be some error? For example, I put a wrong name of a database and try to refresh and see if everything will be okay. Everything is still okay. But the database that we have just created right now, you see, this one, it's not right. It's not right, right? Because this is the wrong database, right? So, but why didn't it bring an error? We are going to find out. So once you fill this configuration file of database, the next thing is now to include the database helper. What's a library with a helper? We'll find out. We have to include the database functionalities. So to include the database functionalities, you can either load them manually every time you're expecting to use a database in a certain file. You can load those functionalities, or you auto load them. If you're expecting to be using database in any place of your project, you can auto load them. In the previous class, I discussed how to auto load how to auto load a model, if you still remember. So likewise here, you can also auto load the functionalities of a database. So to auto load now the functionalities of database, after you have set these settings for that connects to your database, you simply come to config file, and then you search for database. You see, database is here, is a library. You see, so database is a library. They'll explain you how you can autoload you can autoload libraries. So CodeIgniter comes with its own with its own libraries that we can implement. Among the libraries that we have database library, we have email library, we have session library, then we have file library. File is a helper. Sometimes they confuse me. We have helpers and libraries. So files and URLs, they are helper. We'll look at them later. But we have a database library. So database library will help us to handle all the database functionalities of CodeIgniter. Are we together, members? Members, are you following?
Yeah.
Really? I hope you're following. So, to load the functionality of a database, we have to either auto-load it or load it manually as a database as a database library. We have the email library. This email library will help us to send emails, to create emails and emails. And we have the database library. We have session library. In case you have an external libraries that you want to load, you can also add it inside here, the library folder, and then you can also come here and load it. So let us load the database library. Simply come to your project, application, config, Autoloads. Okay, Autoloads. So I'll copy this library name and then I come and pass it here, okay, as a string, so that it should automatically load it, because I'm expecting to use the database almost everywhere. So I should just auto-load it other than loading it manually every time. So I load the library, the database library like that. So if I come and refresh, now you see the error that we're talking about. The error that we're talking about. So when you auto-load libraries, so it means that CodeIgniter, every time you refresh, it will do what? It will try to connect to the database using the credentials that we did what? That we provided before. Now, if these credentials for database are wrong, you'll see such an error that there was a problem connecting to the what? To the database. So let me correct them so that they should be correct as how we did. So I come and refresh. You see now there's nothing wrong and everything is okay. All together, members. So it means that we have successfully connected to the database, and we have successfully done what? We have successfully connected to the database, and we successfully loaded the what? Loaded the database helper functions. So there are so many functions of that CodeIgniter is going to help us to deal with database. Let me search your database and I show you. There are so many functions that CodeIgniter is going to help us to deal with database. So I'll come here to connecting database. I want to see where there is a database reference that I see if they have outlined the database what? Functionalities. Database configuration, we've finished that. Click database reference. So with database connecting, we'll finish. Quick start. Okay, this is how you load it. If you want to load it separately without automatically loading it, you can load the database like this. Just this load database, then the functionality will be loaded. So we are going to look at different functionalities of what? Of CodeIgniter database. There are so many. There are so many. I cannot manage to explain all of them at the moment, but we're going to look at the most basic one and important ones. So before we begin, let me first begin by creating a what? Creating a table, because we cannot deal with database without any table in what? In our database. So I'll come and create a table. You can as well write your SQL that creates a table and then run it with a project, or you can simply do what? You can simply create a table by yourself. So I'm going to come here and create a table by simply clicking on database name, and then I click on a table. So I'm going to say users, example, and then I say this table maybe has 10, and then let us put some information here, user underscore ID, and I'm going to make this one auto increment and a what? And a primary key. And a what? A primary key. So I begin first name, first underscore name, and then give this one variable character maybe of 2 to 5, and then last underscore name, and give it a variable character of maybe 2 to 5. I give it maybe a profile photo. I give it maybe text. I give it a registration date, reg underscore date. I give it maybe also maybe variable character of 25. I give it maybe maybe I create also last seen, and then I give it maybe variable character of 25, and then I can put here maybe details about that user. It's becoming not too much text. I put maybe username and password. Username, maybe make it maybe variable character 225, and then maybe password. Okay, I make it what? I make it text. Any other important information that I've left? I think no. Profile photo, it's already there, and I think that's all. That's enough to practice a basic what? A basic user. Okay, maybe whether it's admin or not. Okay, user type, maybe user underscore type, and then I'll come here and change it, maybe text, and maybe sorry, variable character of maybe 10. This will just be whether it's a admin or not. So I'll come and do it, and I'll come and update, okay, and save this table. So after saving this table, it means that we have our what? We have our table. I have our table here. Okay, so we begin by inserting. How do we insert information into what? Into the table using CodeIgniter. So that's the beauty of CodeIgniter now. CodeIgniter will help us to create or to insert information into the what? Into the table simply without any pain. To do that, I'm going to first simply create a simple form here that will enable us to add a what? To add a user. I can either create using a form, or I can even insert directly without using a what? Without using a form. But to be a little bit formal, let me create a what? A function that will add a what? That will add a user into the database. So I'm going to create a view here. Okay, I'm going to, so I'll close this connection to the database. I'll close it. So since you already know what we are doing, so I'll make it. I'll not go into basic. So I may put something a little bit complicated, but you'll understand still. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a create account. What? Maybe a register. A registration user register what? A form, so that we should be able to do what? Register users. So I'll first determine which controllers I'm going to use. We have this news controller. I can use the same controller, or I can create a separate controller that handles user tasks separately, but I can still use the same controller, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to create okay, let me use just the same controller to save time. Okay, I can use a users okay, let me create another controller. I'm going to call it what? Users controller. So I'll save this as Ctrl+Shift+S. I just save it as what? As users under what? Under controllers. Users. And then I come and change this on to what? Capital S. So I make sure that I'm in the same file. Users. Okay. Users. Okay. So under index, I'll just say, let me echo just here under index. I can echo maybe users home. I can say all users, all users. So if someone goes under index, we want to show them what? All users. So if I come and load the users. So first of all, if I want to access the users controllers, first of all I'll have to do what and say index.php, and then I put users. It's a bit hectic using that word, the index.php. So index.php stroke users, you'll be able to see the what? You'll be able to see the default part of users controller. So remember, see carefully here. We'll learn everything. We'll learn different things as we go along. I may not follow the exact syllabus, but as we practice, we'll learn different things. For example, you've seen creating a different controller, accessing different methods in a controller. We just learn it. Yet we are also learning what? We are also learning database. So you have to be attentive from A up to Z, because if you think that you will focus on database only, you may end up losing the what? You may end up losing the point. So want to do what? I want, first of all, this thing of what? Of adding index.php and then stroke controller and then stroke users. It is a little bit tiresome. Let us first fix this, okay? Let us first fix this, and then after fixing it, we'll proceed, okay? We'll proceed. So first of all, I'm here, okay? So if I want to solve this problem, for example, assume that, okay, this is users, right? This is users. Assume that I have another function of create user. Create underscore user, okay? This is another method here, right? So I can put here maybe creating users. So you have to be careful, otherwise if you just focus on one thing, you may end up losing it all. You may end up losing some points because I'm going to mix along the way. I'll be teaching different things. For example, I'm going to this what I'm teaching right now is not for about the database right now, okay? It's about the URLs. So this is create what? Create user. So this, you see, this is another what? It's another method, create user. So if I come here and just change this one to stroke create user, I'll be able to see what? Create user. But you can see that thing of index and whatever create user. So what if I want to go back to home, to all users? You know, the index we have said that will display all users. So to do that, I can simply put here my link. For example, I can put the link. Okay, I can just, okay. I can put the link. No, I'll not put the link here. Let us create a what? Let us load the views, okay? Let us load the views of these users. Let's say create user, maybe put here edit user, or I can say update user, not create user, maybe delete user, delete user, delete user. So I have deleting users. So I have these three different what? Three different methods, Three different methods. One for creating user, deleting user, and you can see how I'm juggling through them without any pain. Now, let us create for them the views, right? Let us create for them the views. For example, this delete user, it might be a what? A process. Okay, we are going to create for it a what? For it a view. So these are three different. They'll need three different views because they need what? An output. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create for them views. So to create for them views, we'll have to come here under views and then create for them views. Now, listen here carefully. If you want to keep your data in an organized way, I repeat, if you want to keep your data in organized way, Fatumata, listen to this carefully because I'm sure for you, you're practicing and maybe what I'm talking you're going to understand. For others, I'm not sure because I've not seen your work. So listen to this carefully. If you're working with, if you want to keep your files in well-organized way, because you're going to work with bigger projects, and you may find that the project that you're going to work with is going to have around 100 different view files, or even 1,000 view files. So they may become complicated. They may become a little bit what? A little bit complicated. So the organization of your file will really matter. Otherwise, if you don't organize your files properly, you will find problems in what? In managing your project. So we have different ways. For example, Fatumata, for the project that you sent me, what you did, I saw you did a calculator, and at the same time you were doing, what are you trying to do? A library functions, at the same time a calculator. So you find the files of the calculator that were inside the views, and the files for the library that you're creating, that were inside the view. All of them, someone cannot simply differentiate them at the glance or at just mere look. So that becomes a little bit complicated. But if you work in a team, or if you work alone, you need to be having simplicity in doing what? In knowing that if I want a certain file, I should browse like this. It is just like the way the dictionary is organized. If the dictionary is not organized in alphabetical order, if the dictionary is not organized in alphabetical order, so how could it be hard to search a word into a physical dictionary? It will really be hard. But because a dictionary book is organized in alphabetical order, we can simply do what? We can simply search through them. So likewise, when you're going to work with bigger projects, we need to do what? To rename our file in a systematic way that we can simply browse through them. For example, these are 3 files that I want to create that are about what? Are about users. There will be other files that I'm going to create about news. There will be other files that I'm going to create maybe about admin, about what. So you'll find that it is kind of group of files, but if I don't rename them properly, if I mix this file of users and those of admin, you'll find that my project starts becoming complex, most especially when I'm searching for a specific file to edit. So here we come up with a technique that can solve this problem. The first technique is that you can create a folder for them. You can create a folder for them. For example, you can say all the files for users, I'm going to put them under a folder called users inside the views. That is allowed. That is allowed. I can as well create a what? A folder, for example, here. I can create a folder and I call it users, and I put all the files of users inside that folder, such that here when I'll be loading that view, I'll be entering in that folder and I then specify the what? The file. So that is one way of doing what? Of solving this problem. Another way, we can as well, we can as well group these files by naming, by giving them a unique name at the beginning of a what? At the beginning of a file. For example, that we can decide that all the files that are going to be related to users, we are going to begin with them with the word or with the keyword users, then a specific file name. Okay, so even if I know I have 10 files for users, I'll know that I'll go to a folder of what? Of views, and I search for all the files that are beginning with the users. Then I'll know that I will simply know that if in case I want a certain file of users, I'll just go to the views and search for any file that's beginning with users, and then I read the remaining part. Then I'll know that I'll simply access the what? The file of what I'm looking for. But if you don't mark them like this, it will be hard for us to do what? To play with them. I hope you get my point. It will be hard for us to do what? To play with them. For example, this is the index of users, okay? Or all users, okay? So instead of me saying all users, I can say users all. Why? Because it is grouped in users. Others, if I say all users, then it means that I can say all users create user. Then it means that they will not be organized in the same place. Why? Because they're beginning with different what? With different keywords. Okay. So to cut this story short, I hope you've got the point. If I want to create a view for this index, I can simply come here under views. I just right click new file and I can say save. For example, I want to call it, this is supposed to be all users, right? So you can say users underscore all users underscore all. So why am I beginning with users? Because this user is a common keyword that I want to be beginning with, such that if I want to search a specific file of user, I'll just go and look for any file name that is beginning with users. Then I'll know that, hey, this is a what? This is a certain user file. That's a very powerful technique that can cost you time to do what? To how should I say? That it can cost you really time to, I forgot the word that I want to use here.
But you cannot speak English, man. It's really a long way.
I don't know. How should I say? I forgot the word. Anyway, that can cost you time to know, okay? to realize that this word, I mean this technique is existing, it's really, it can cost you time. Even me, it cost me time, but later I realized that it does what? That exists. So I save you. So I know all the files of users will begin with what? With users. So I can put here users all.php. But someone who is not a developer can ask me, hey, why don't you just say all users? But if you're a developer, you will know, and you're going to see it right now. So you see, users all. So if I want to see anything that about users, I'll just come to users. So I can put here maybe my basic HTML, and then maybe all users, and then I can put here maybe my H1. Okay, I can put here all users, for example. Okay, so if I save there, I'll know all users, all users. So for example, I will load this file here, right? So I'll load the view. To load the view, I'll just simply load view, and the file is called users all. I can either specify the PHP file or not. I will not pass to it any data. So here we understood, right? So I want to create a what? Another file for create users. So instead of saying create users, Musa, what should I say? It should be,
What's that?
I want to create a view file for create users. So instead of saying create users, what should I say?
User create.
Why are you laughing?
No,
Yeah.
it's not English.
So it will be what? Users underscore create. Very good.
Create.
.php. So I will have it here, right? Oh, what? I just made it a folder. Sorry, delete it. I made a folder. Sorry. Okay, so it will be new file, and I'll just, if you use user, then it should be user. If you use user, then it should be users. So I'll say users what? Users create. With that one joining. So this lady has been offline all this time. When did you leave? Fatma, when did you leave?
I just changed from phone to my laptop.
But you've been following, right?
Yes, I have just changed.
Okay.
I just log out from my phone and log in with my laptop.
Okay. So, so you see, instead of saying create users, we just say users what? Users create. Just to help you, the developer, we can see how you will not show this to the user. I mean, to the user. For the users, you can show them create user, but we can see also how you can route this and hide them from the user. So you see here, I can say create what? Create user. So there we go. And then lastly, I can say maybe delete user. So this will be users what? Users delete. I'll put here users what? Users delete. Okay. So you see, then here maybe I can say deleting users. Okay, deleting user. So after this thing, I hope the record will remain there. So after doing that, I'll have to come and change this one to what? To delete users. So I'll have to come and load these views. Copy this, undo, and then paste it here. So here, paste it. This is users what? Users what? Create. Okay. So you see what I was saying. Now you see all the files that are related to user actions, they are organized with users. Okay. So if I want users whatever, I just come here. I can simply navigate. But if I say create user, do this, you'll find that they're going to be disorganized. Assume that I have 50 files. So I can know in the same order users in of what? Of a certain creative value. So what, for example, here, what Fatmata could do. I have a project here, I hope. Is it the one? This is another one. Okay, let me show you. So what Fatmata you could do here, You could do something like this. Let me open your project. It's called what? Library. Library. Maybe I put in fat. Where is fat? I hope this is your project. I hope. I want to show you what you could have done. So I'll come and load it here. I hope it is the one. Yeah, it's the one, I think. So you see here under your views, you see. So if it is about maybe company, about us, and the rest, those public files, you could find one unique keyword that you begin with that, so that all the public files should be maybe under certain under certain group. So you see these files, multiplication, subtraction, they are calculator files, right? So you could begin maybe with a calculator multiplication, or calc multiplication, calc subtraction, calc division. But you see addition, Fatimata, can you see? Can you see where addition is? Are you following? Fat?
Yes. Yes.
So can you see where your addition is? Your addition is here, division is here, multiplication is here. So if you have like 20 files, so it will become too hard for you. So what do you do? What you would do, you could maybe say calc or calculator or what? You get one word that is going to do what? To group them and make that word as a what? As a prefix. Maybe calc underscore addition, calc division, calc multiplication, and calc subtraction. Then, you know, if I want a function or a file that is related to a calculator, I'll just go and search for what? For this calc, and then I'll know. Maybe all the files that are related to what? To library. Maybe you can put lib add book, lib create book, leads, something like this. Use the file that are about the users. You begin with this what? With one word that will group them. Did you get you get my point?
Yes.
Very good. So likewise here I begin with users, all users this. So all my files that are related to users, they'll be there. So that's why I say that be a little bit attentive, otherwise you may lose some key points. For example, I'm not teaching this at this moment. I'm teaching database. But you see how far we've gone with this. So like that. So if I come here, create user, it will just be the same what? The same problem. So if I come here, create user, I will just, you see, even the user will not even see whatever you're doing. You just see create user. So create user, it has successfully load what? This file from what? From the user view. Now I want to show you one problem that I wanted to talk about. Okay, another thing, you can also as well create for them a what? A folder. All the files of users, you put them in a view folder. You can do also something like that. It is also okay. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to create a file that if I click on that link, it should take me, for example, I'm on create user. If I click on that link, it should take me to what? To all what? All users. For example, here I'm create users. So create users, I want to come here, where is user create here, and put a link, anchor tag, that is going to take me to all what? All users. Okay, all users. So if I come and refresh here, you see have all users, right? I hope you can see it. All users. It's just here. It's a link, all users. So I want to be able to click here, and it takes me to what? To the all users, okay? So where is our all users? Our all users is under what? Users controller, then what? Index. Users controller index, or index.php to take us to all users, right? And if I want to create user, also here maybe all users, and in the all users I want to maybe put a link for what? For create for for create user, right? So if I want to come here to index users all, I can put here also a link that will link me to what? To create users. To create users. So be careful here. Be attentive. It is very important how to link CodeIgniter files. Be very, very what? Be very careful. So here I maybe create user. Create users. So I want to be able to click here, and should take me to what? To create users here. So members, try to be attentive here. Now, but we know to create user, just add here, create what? Create users, and then you'll be taken to the what? To the link of create user, right? Create user. You'll be taken to the link of create user. So what is changing is what? It's just the controller and the what? And the create user thing. Now, you see the problem. Here we are on index, for example. Let us go to index. All users, right? I want to put a link for what? For create users. So I can just simply do like this. User stroke control. Okay, now, first of all, there's a discussion here. Should I put localhost stroke my project name stroke whatever? No, we can use that one. Is not necessary as long as it is the same project. So if it is the same project, I can as well do like this, and then it will link me to the what? To the controller of users, and then create users. But if we go and do like this, refresh, and then try to click on all users. Okay, let me go to all users. I mean to index. If I try to click here, it will say the page does not what? The page does not exist. So that's another problem. That's another problem. Linking pages is really a problem. In case you're not used of it all, you'll really find a problem. You see, if I click on this, it is not existing. Okay, so CodeIgniter gave us a help file. A help function, or a helper that will help us to deal with URLs. Otherwise, if you don't know, URLs are very sophisticated things. I had my friend, he had finished his project, but he didn't have this knowledge, and he had made static URLs. So when he was uploading it on internet yesterday, but one, he really faced a problem, because the URL that he had used, he had coded the word localhost in those URL. So when he created, maybe want to add a user, he put the word localhost, create user, localhost. Now when he's uploading his project to the internet is now not using localhost. He has to use what? He has to use the domain. So he found serious problem to go and manually change each part. So URL is another sophisticated thing that we need to take care of when we want our project not to break. Like I've already showed you the first problem. I'm clicking here, but it is showing me that the page does not what? Does not exist. Why? Because the link that we have clicked on is not correct indeed. Okay? So our URL have not to be static, have to be dynamic, and have to be dynamic depending to the environment where we put a project. So CodeIgniter, it created for us a helper function that help us deal with what? With URLs. So to deal that, to load that function that deal with URL, we see, that helper functionalities that deals with URL. Husnat, I hope you're following. Are you following? Husna, are you following? Husnat, are you there? Is she there? She left. So, okay. So, I hope you members you're following, right? Are you following? Members, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I say you have a problem with what, with URLs, and you have to be careful with them. So to do what, to load the URL functionalities, you just come here and you come to Autoloads, right? Because you're going to use them every almost. So search for URL, Ctrl F, and search for URL. I don't know whether it's a helper or what. Okay, it's a helper function, right? It's a helper. It's going to help us. Okay, so you can search here URL helper, and then paste it here. Just add it here. It should be auto loaded. So you can come here in documentation and read about more what, about URL helper. So just search URL, and then you see URL what, URL CodeIgniter URL, and URL helper. So if you click on URL helper, they'll explain to you everything. Everything. Please come and read these notes in your free time. Don't spend all your time viewing people's status on WhatsApp. You view for few people that you care about, and the other half time come and read this documentation. Musa, have you heard? Because you're the one with this behavior.
Actually, yeah.
Just view half time, and the other half time come and read, please, just for your good. Once you finish, then you can go back to your status. Once you finish all this. Me, I finished it. Big part, like 80% of it. Okay? And others, Hadi, Musa, Fatmata, please come and read this documentation. It's really beautiful, right? It's just notes like those of classroom. You see, they say, okay, this is how you load the URL. Then this one will help you to deal with what, with URLs. Then they'll tell you that a URL is it is constituted of controller, this, and then this. Then they say this one are called segments. If you want to get the first segment, you do like this. So you'll find it's really beautiful as you're trying. And when you finish it, then you pause and go and do something else. And another day you come and learn something. Just give this as your challenge and get this knowledge. It's really beautiful. And once you get the knowledge of MVC, the remaining MVCs will be simple. So I have autoloaded what? I've autoloaded URL here. Okay? So this URL, autoloading URL, it has two main important key features. The first one is the base URL, and the other one is the site URL. Okay? The base URL and the site URL. These are two functions, basic functions. So let me show you what is meant by by base URL. So I'll come here to the to users all and echo, maybe echo, okay, PHP echo what, base underscore URL. Okay, like this, base URL. Let us see what it will give us. Okay, just base URL. So if you echo base URL, come and refresh. Come and refresh. Can you see? This is base URL. Let me try to put it maybe in H1, H2. This is what? Base URL. Okay? So if you see clearly, this is just our base link, the base link of like the base of our project. Okay? Sorry. The base of our project. Okay? So this is the most basic link. The base link of our what? Of our project. We call it base URL. So with the helper URL, it can help us to tell the base of our what? Of our project. So all our project is allocated at localhost. This is the localhost IP, right? Localhost stroke JM News 24. So by doing that, you will be able to do what? To access the most top part of a project, which is here on top. Okay? So it means that I can navigate. I can go now to the control to index.php. After index.php, I now go to the controller, something like this, okay? And then we'll be able to do what? To point at a point that we want. Okay? So if I refresh here, I'll see the what? The base URL. But if I remove this autoload, let me remove this autoload of helper of URL. Okay? I'll remove autoload of helper of URL. Then I'll not be able to see that functionality. Okay? So that's the beauty about controller. You load something only when you want it. Others, if you don't want it, then you don't need to know. You don't need to do what? To order it. So we always use this URL. So I have to first load it, like I've shown you here. So after loading it, I can now do what? I can now be able to do what? To access the functionalities such as base URL. Okay? So this base URL, I can as well modify it. For example, if I'm not using this thing of 10 whatever, for example, me I'm using localhost 8080 stroke the name of my project. Okay? You see, this is the base URL. Localhost 8080 stroke the name of my project. To do that, I come into configuration, and then you see here base URL. Come configuration, application, config, then you see config, then you see base URL. So here it is where you define. Can you see? Here it is where you define the base part of your your project, the base link of your project. I repeat, here it is where you define the base link of your project. If you are to upload your project on internet, so here it is where you'll put your what? Your domain. So once you define here your domain, then CodeIgniter will be smart to reference this base URL in anywhere of your project where you'll want it. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point, members? Hadi, are you understanding?
Yes.
Very good. We are going to finish, don't worry. So here it is where you do what? You define the base link. So if you upload your project on internet, this is where you put your what? Your domain. Then your project will not have any crash. My friend didn't know this. He suffered. He was like, oh, this is how you suffer every day. I say, yes. So the only solution could just be put this one, then you can be able to do what? Okay, for example, I'll put this one, the base URL of my project. So if I come and refresh, can you see? It has been updated. So everywhere I want to reference this base URL, automatically it will load this thing that I did what? That I defined there. Okay? So this base URL, I can go ahead and put there something. For example, if I add this one, maybe admin, then what it will do? It will add stroke admin. Can you see? GM news stroke admin. So it will take care of knowing that, hey, this one want to go to stroke what? Stroke admin. Maybe I can say stroke what? Stroke users. So I just add base URL and then I pass users. Then it will take care of that. So that is one base URL. We have another one called site URL. Site URL. So this base URL is still having some issues. Okay, this base URL, it helps us to know the base part of our project. For example, when we'll be dealing with CSS and uploading the files, all those things, we will need this base URL because it will be pointing at the base part of our project. But it's still lacking something. For example, when you want to go to the users project, for example, users controller, what do we need to do? Here, this link cannot help us until we first do what? We first put index.php. Also, I'll show how to remove this index in the coming days. Index.php stroke what? Stroke the name of our what? Of our controller. Maybe I want to create, okay? Stroke create user. Okay, for example. That's when you will be able to do what? To access a useful control, a link that can open, for example, create user. Do you understand? So if I echo this link, if I go to this link here, I'll just go to create user directly. Why? Because I begin at the base, then I come to what? To our index.php, then I come to our controller of users, then I specify the method of create user. So if I echo this here, if I echo this here in the href, then this will do what? Will work, will not bring the other problem that we are having. So if in case of doing this here, I can as well do what? Come and echo it here in the href. Then if I come and refresh, see, create user, now it is now working. Why? Because everything has been taken care of. We have the full link, and then you have our index.php, then you have our controller and a method. So if I click here, create user, everything is okay. But if we go back again to all users, it's going to cause a problem. So what can we do there? We can also as well just come to what? To the create user, and here in href we do what? You put that, and then you just put here just like this, right? Because it's the index, right? So I can either put stroke index or do like this. Then we'll have solved that problem of linking. Can you see? Create user, add user, create user, add user, create user, add user. So what helps us, instead of statically creating it, the base URL is helping us to dynamically handle this. So when you want to change our project, maybe to another platform, maybe to another hosting, maybe putting it on internet, we just only have one place to change. And what is that one place? It is just simply coming to configuration, base URL, we change this, and then the CodeIgniter will take the care of the remaining parts. But otherwise we could hard code those words, maybe localhost stroke 8080 stroke the name of our project stroke then index.php. We hard code them. Okay, it may not be hard to hard code, but when you want to change, then we'll have to look for all those codes and rename them, which is not professional, right? So I hope you've understood that point. Musa, have you? Musa?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. So that is base URL. Then lastly, we have another one called site URL. Site URL. Let me first remove base URL here, okay? So can you see? Base URL, okay? That's the basic part of URL. Let us look at site URL. Those are two most important parts. Site underscore URL. So can you see the difference? The difference is site URL has with the what? With our word we index.php. But base URL, it shows the base part of our what? Of our project. So you remember we could manually hard code that index.php. So if you don't want to hard code it when you need to link to another controller, I can simply use what? Site URL. Okay? So in case I don't want to hard code that index.php, I can just use site URL, and then I specify the what? The controller. For example, here so it means that site URL will put for us this. Base URL will help us when we want to access the base part of our project here. But site URL will help us to put the index.php. So if I just paste this one here, then I'll be able to achieve just what I had coded previously. So if I use site URL, what will be my task is just to specify the controller and then to specify the method that I want to access. As simple as that. Then you will not need again to hard code anything. Just specify the controller and then specify the what? The method. So here I can just simply put site URL like that. You can either use base URL, then if you use base URL, then you need to do what? To hard code that part. So here I can just come and put here PHP site underscore URL and then the name of what? Of our project. I mean the controller and the what? And the project. So likewise here, I can remove this one and then come put site URL stroke what? Stroke users without specifying anything. So if I come refresh, create user, everything is now okay. Site URL is doing for us the work. Okay. So without wasting much time, now let us face the what? The form creation. Now I'm going to create a form that Musa, you want a break?
No, I want to is it ask, right? Today I'm correct.
Yeah, man. You're shifting to normal life.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Ask now.
Yeah. Okay. Like the default index.php. Is it possible for us to delete it from this
Yes.
site?
Yes, sure. We can remove it.
Correct.
Yeah, that's your homework. We'll remove it later. Just don't mind about it. But I'll show you how to remove it. But it is possible to be removed, right?
Correct.
So that will be just putting straight users, and then so you can even create a project and someone can fail to know whether it's a PHP project, whether it's a what, once you remove it. And I'll show you how to in coming days. Yeah. So that was a good question. Let me see. Seriously? Who had cheated my time? No, Musa, this is impossible.
Hadi is the one hacking it.
No, this is a hack. Seriously? I'll add 15 you guys.
No.
Why no? Why no way? No, this
We have to sleep.
No, we have so many things to do.
me have
We have to.
no members. Seriously, how? 8
But
minutes?
this is what you fixed and it's almost finished, and now you want to cheat on us.
No. Someone
Cheat us.
played with this.
No
Seriously.
one.
Astaghfirullah. Okay. So no. Okay, I'll add some. Seriously.
No.
Yeah.
No, we have assignment to do.
Yeah, baby. I'll add some.
Window, no, you say 120. The time has June now. You want to say what?
Some electricity went.
Nobody cheat your time. You were talking. You forget.
What did you say? Anyway, okay. So we're going to do what to seriously. Who cheated my time? Let us create a form here.
It's finished.
No, something is wrong with that JavaScript, I think. So I'll create a simple form. Seriously? No. Let's create a form here. And I'm going to put okay, so I'm going to see what I need to this form. So I'll copy that technique I taught you, right? You may just come and copy the keywords, and yeah, that's a serious technique, members. It's a serious technique. Always use the same name of that you have in the table. Use same name in your form. That's why you see me coming here. I access my table. I can either copy them from here, or I can just simply come and select these ones. So I come here, user ID, it will take care of itself. First name will take care of itself. This one will take care of itself. Okay, details, username, password. Okay, so like this. Okay, so let us see one by one. We have user ID, it will take care of itself, so I don't need to mind about it. And first name, I'll need to put it, so I can put here an input that will have user type text, and then name, first name. Members, always use the same name as those you have on database, unless maybe you want to use some security thing, then you can play with them, but always use the same name to avoid errors. But for the sake of security, you may also use different names, because if you use same name, someone can find a way how to use these names and insert garbage into your what? Into your project, because they will be able to do what? To access these things in the front end. So it's up to you, but for basic projects you can use same names, just save your time. So I put here name, and then I put maybe placeholder, and put first name, put some beer tag here, and then I can put here maybe another beer, and here another beer tag, and then I put here maybe last name, and then put here last name, and then I put here photo. We will look at it later. Registration date, we'll look at it. Registration date, look at it. Last scene, look at it. Details, look at maybe details. I can put it here maybe. Details, I can make it what? A text area. Text area with what? With the details. Seriously. So text area, it will have an attribute of what? Of details, of a name of details. So I can delete this one. Okay, so I have placeholder, maybe details, and then I close this one, this text area here. Then I can put my what? My button of submit. Yeah, maybe username and password. Yeah, username and password. Can just come and duplicate these ones too, the way they are, and then I put here the username, and then password, Okay, so there we go. I'm going to put here a button for submission. Button, barony class type submit, and then put here maybe register or create account. Okay. So create account like that. Come and refresh. So we have that beautiful form for creating the what? Creating the account. So we are going to create our form, our information. Now, where are we going to submit this form? That's another question. I can submit it to the same function, to the same what? To the same file. Okay? So Fatmata has already tried this and she did it very perfectly. So I can put here action type, method, maybe post, and then I can submit to the same file. Okay, so to submit to the same file, I'll just simply put here what? PHP echo what? Echo site URL. You know what your site URL does? And then I echo the what? The create form. So what will I do? I'll check if the username is set. I can also do the process from here. So I'll come here on top. You see, members, I can do this form submission either from where? From the controller, or I can use it in a what? In this particular view. Now it is up to you. For example, checking if the user, if there is a form which is being submitted, you can as well do it from here. For example, here, before you do what? You submit the form, before you load the view. Or you can use it, you can do it within the view itself. Me, I always do this within the view itself. Why? Because I don't want to make my controller so huge. Because if you do it within the controller, maybe another file in the another project in another file in the controller may also need such a process, and you find that you've put a lot of code in your controller and it is going to become huge, and data controller is not supposed to be for a specific method. So instead of putting your code here, before the controller, I advise you to always put it within a specific view, like here. Now I can check it from here. I can either check it from the controller here, but I can also check if there's a form submission from the view here. So I can check if there is a form submission from the view here. So it will be PHP. I'll do it before I load anything on the page. So I can check if is set what post, and then the controller I can check if is set the post and then the username here, and then I can die. From here by just dumping the post echo pre-tag. Let me dump everything in the post. Okay, so this is self-explanatory. Any member who don't understand this? Musa, do you understand this? Musa?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, very good. So I could do this here before I load the view. But if I do the same for every file, then my controller will lose meaning. It will become so huge. But the controller should always just be clean and do the work that for every method. Okay, so if something is related to a certain view like this one, you can as well do it on top of a view before you load anything. So if I come and refresh here, here I put username Mbahud, password 1234, first name Muhindo, last name Mubarak, and then details student at IUT Dhaka. Okay, so that's it. Then I do what? I create account. Shit. Okay, I had not loaded the method of post. So password 1234, first name Mohindo, last name Mubarak, details student at IUT Dhaka. Okay, so I create the account. Yeah, so everything is perfect here. I hope everyone can do this. I hope, right? Is there anyone who can't do this? Maybe you've just not tried it, but you understand how I've done it, right? Do we? Is there anyone who did not understand up to here? Members, response. We are going to finish.
Get it?
You understood, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there we are. I could do this also in the other side. So before I insert into my database, let me first do what? Let me first see all what I need to insert a user in the database. Then I'll insert at once. So user ID, I don't need it. I don't need to take care of it. So I always first check everything is okay before I do what? I insert. So I'll come here, first name. I always check if everything is okay before I do it. I can even first copy these and also first put them here in the comment. I don't do things in darkness. So first name, username is already taken care of, so I can remove it here. And I remove it here. Username is already taken. Okay, password, I need to do something, hashing it, right? I need to hash the password. So to hash the password, I can just update this very one in the what? In the post. Okay, so this post is a what? Is an array. I can as well do like this. So I need to hash the password. I hope we have already discussed about hashing passwords before. So to hash it, it will be password what? Password hash, whereby I pass here this password string, which is inside the what? The post password. and then I pass password default, and then this password will be hashed. Now if I come and refresh here, I reupload the same form, you can see our password has been hashed. Only that this is supposed to remain what? Remain password, right? That should just update it, eh? Fatma, are we on the same page? Fat?
Yeah, no. Yes.
Very good. So password I've taken it care of. I can remove here. I can remove here. That's how I check if my stuff are okay. First name, it's already taken. It's already taken. Last name, it's done. It's done. You can also do some logic of checking if the first name is not empty, those things, eh? You can also do them here. Then profile photo, this one I'll take care of it later. Registration date, I need to create it now, so I can add it also. Remember, you can also modify post. You can first put this one in another array, but still you can just use the post to modify it. Okay, so reg date, it will just be what? My time. Details already taken care of, and then I'll just come and details, I delete it here and delete it here. Okay, last scene not taken care of, so the last scene is just the time for right now. User type not taken care of, so user type I just come and change here to what? To maybe regular, user, something like that. Regular. Okay, so by doing like this, we are good to go. We have taken care of everything, right? So if I come and refresh and make sure that everything is okay.
The photos.
The what?
The photos.
The photos, look at it later, man. We'll look at it later, mister. I respect you so much, Musa. So everything is now fine, right? We have taken care of everything. So now what next? Now is to insert this data into the what? Into the database. So this comes, now we come to the beauty of what? Beauty of CodeIgniter. CodeIgniter gives us ability to insert the database, the information to the database without writing the SQL. Isn't that wonderful? Fat, is it not wonderful?
Yeah, kind of.
It is wonderful. Otherwise, we could write this SQL insert into this, where this is going to this, and this. But CodeIgniter say, hey, don't worry about that, baby. I'll do it for you. So how do we do it? To do it, we simply, it can be either an object or an array. So you do like this. You organize your array. Listen here carefully, right? You organize your array in a way that these values in the associative array, the indices, they are matching with the same names in your what? In your table. Okay? They match in the same name with your table. Then you can be able to insert that array straight away to your table. So to do that, you can surround it with the what? With your if condition to check if it will be successful or not. So I say if this, then you point at db, and then you point at, there's $sign, if this $sign db, and then you point at what? At insert. Okay,